6 minutes on the clock. Begin.
I'm going to start with my contention, and that is prostitution normalizes violence. Sexual violence and physical assault are norm for women in the legal of prostitution in Nevada. A Dutch study states that 60% of women in legal prostitution were physically assaulted, 70% were threatened with physical assault, and 40% have been concurred into legal prostitution or forced. Legal or illegal, the longer someone is in prostitution, the more he or she is physically endangered and physically harmed and emotionally harmed. If the prostitute says no to sex, violence is often used to receive consent for something. This creates and reinforces the mindset that violence is the answer. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center gives plenty of statistics about how this violence transfers to society, as the percents I have said. What will legalization do if we do decide to make it just completely legal? Some believe that legalizing prostitution will make the numbers skyrocket compared to what it is now. That is, it is illegal in 49 states of America except Nevada. Other negative elements is that them in the head mentally, it will make women feel more as objects than they do as human beings. And what about the kids that you or your whatever have? You have your kid go out in the middle of the street, you pull hard enough on them, they'll get out of the street, and you don't care how bad it hurts them. How am I relating that to prostitution? Well, it's pretty simple. If your kid sees a drugged out human being or half-naked person standing on the side of the road, they're gonna ask you questions that you don't really want to answer. It's just a terrible thing for society, and your kid should not have to see that, and it should be illegal in all 50 states. All the states except Nevada, you have time for jail. It is class B misdemeanor if you do get caught.
Excuse me for this announcement. All sophomores, please grab your Chromebooks and report to the Commons area. All sophomores to the Commons area. Thank you.
Prostitution laws are intended to protect public health and welfare, including the suppression of sexually transmitted disease, protect the minors who might otherwise become involved in the sex industry and other associated forms of crime, and exploit women. Prostitution is by far the worst thing women or men can possibly do. It involves selling something deeply personal and emotional. What I mean by that is you're basically selling out your virginity in a way. More people believe that we need to just take the next step and make it illegal in Nevada, which it should be, and that's it.
Anyone need planning time?
No.
Okay, remember, this is your cross of what you just heard. 3 minutes on the clock, are you ready?
Yes. So, my opponent said that prostitution encourages violence and could also make the amount of STDs skyrocket. However, I have an article that suggests that that might not be as true. Now, in 1980, Rhode Island legislature amended a law in 1980. It inadvertently created a legal loophole that decriminalized paid consensual sex or prostitution if it took place indoors. This mistake wasn't recognized until 2003 and wasn't amended until 2009. Now, the key findings from this study show that there were 31% or 824 fewer reported rapes and a decrease of approximately 2,000 cases of gonorrhea during the 7 years indoor prostitution was decriminalized. Now, another thing, he talks about legal, or sorry, if something is legalized, there has to be checks and balances. He's talking about unregulated prostitution, the ones where pimps will put women out on the streets and let them get hurt. Now, if there's checks and balances, that has a potential to go away. That is all.
Anyone want planning time now?
No.
Alright. Now this is your constructive rebuilding your case, are you ready?
Yes.
7 minutes on the clock.
Alright. So, one of the first things I'd like to point out is, first, my contention, the decriminalization of prostitution has the potential to hinder sexual assault and lower the spread of STDs. Now, first, what is prostitution? Prostitution involves in engaging, agreeing, or offering to engage in sexual conduct with another person in return for a fee. Well, what is sexual conduct? Well, a New York court noted that sexual conduct as it relates to prostitution may include sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, masturbation, or certain acts that are suggestive of conduct done to satisfy a sexual desire. Now, the argument is whether we should decriminalize it. Now, what does that mean? Decriminalizing is the process of through which legislature removes criminal sanctions against an act, omission, article, or behavior which is considered a crime. Which basically means it would remain illegal, but the system would not prosecute a person for this crime. And the penalties would be to, at most, a civil fine. So, now that we have that out of the way, I think it's important to look over why there is an actual law against prostitution. Now, let's see. Prostitution was banned due to the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Tariff Act of 1910. It was a federal law that criminalizes the transportation of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose. So a lot of people make the argument, it's immoral, and that's really it. It's never given a second thought. But if you go back and look, when making these laws, you can see there wasn't really much thought to be put in the first place. They saw that some white girls went missing and were worried that they were going to go into slavery, or white people were going to start being enslaved, so they made an act to try to prevent that. That was it. It wasn't necessarily for the protection of girls. It was really just a fear-mongering tactic. Now, more into the law. So, let's see. That'll be it.
Anyone want planning time?
I want 2 minutes.
2 minutes planning time. On the clock, begin. 1 minute.
This next one is,
This is when you attack the argument that he just made. Then after that, you defend your argument. 15 seconds. Time. Ready?
yeah.
3 minutes on the clock, begin.
My opponent stated that whatever nonsense he said about it's not made for women of that law, and that he never really gave the point of view exactly of who it was exactly made for. Was it just made for men? Was it just made for whatever? Decriminalizing it basically makes my point of making it completely illegal. I don't know why my opponent would bring that up in such a case. He never gave the definition of decriminalize. He's proving my exact point of making it illegal in every sort of way. He never really gave a specific reason on why it shouldn't be illegal, and that's it.
Planning time?
No.
All right, ready to defend? Begin. 4 minutes on the clock.
My opponent stated against my argument that STDs is not really one of the cases of prostitution. Therefore, from my source that I got this numbers from, gonorrhea from prostitution is 37% of diagnosed infections from prostitution. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce some of these. It's paragilia or something like that. 30% were anal infections. Chlamydia was 13%, and 42% were just a form of STD. That's the only really attack that I feel that I got in that spiel of his. Prostitution is just a terrible thing, and it should just be, as I've said a million times, illegal. He's basically saying that women are objects in a way. He has not stated anything to defend that point, and that's how I'm feeling off of it, is that he's basically straight up saying women are objects.
Anyone want planning time? Affirmative, you want planning time?
No.
Negative, you want planning time?
How much do we have?
You have 5 minutes. You haven't used any, so you still have 5 minutes.
What's up next?
So next is when you will defend against the attack that you just suffered, and then he will close. So this is your last chance to speak coming up. No planning time for you?
Nope.
Six minutes on the clock.
Good.
Begin.
All right. My opponent noted that I was very vague and a little confusing about where I got the gonorrhea numbers. Now, those numbers came from, again, a study that was done in Rhode Island that took place from 2003 to 2009. Now, I'm not saying it dropped the overall world percentage of gonorrhea. I'm just saying in Rhode Island, in that small state where that was allowed, it had dropped in numbers. Now, how do I know this? Well, we looked at the FBI Uniform Crime Report data and the World Area Health Organization. Another thing, making the claim that I think women are objects is unfathomable. I would never justify any sexual crimes ever. You know, as someone who is very close to someone who's been sexually assaulted, I know exactly how that trauma can affect those people and their family. But I'm saying, if we are able to do this in a safe environment, like the brothels in Nevada, maybe, just maybe, it could be legal, if not decriminalized. That is all.
Anyone want planning time?
So this is basically wrapping mine
Yep,
up and
This is wrapping yours up. Remember, not allowed to introduce any new material in this speech because he doesn't get the opportunity to speak again.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
3 minutes on the clock, begin.
My opponent brought up the fact that he had a personal experience. Wouldn't that make you want it more illegal? I mean, it's pretty obvious that what he said, it affects family, it affects everything in that order. Wouldn't that make you obviously just want it to be illegal? He brought up the fact that in a city of Nevada that they're doing it in a good way. I would like to know exactly how that is. Now I'm gonna wrap up my point of view of it. That prostitution, again, with my contention, prostitution normalizes the violence. I brought up that 60% of women in legal prostitution were physically assaulted, 70% were threatened with physical assault, and 40% had been forced into making it legal prostitution. It's very endangering, it's very mentally harmful to women. It puts out there that women are supposed to be normalized for this. If you don't have anything out of high school, or it just makes them opinion based of guys and maybe even other females, that females are just, as I've said, that are objects, and my point is to make it feel like there aren't, and they have ways, other ways, instead of putting their body out there to get hurt. And yeah.
Judges, do you have any clarifying questions you need to ask?
What was your condition again?
Prostitution normalizes violence.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna have debaters step out and wait for me. I'm gonna stay in here and conference with the judges to see if I need to be part of the decision,
How?
and then I'll come give you all feedback.
You didn't say a contention.
Yeah, the decriminalization of prostitution has potential to